Good evening. This is a public meeting of the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals for January 11, 2016. Before I get started, just want to remind everybody, if you have an electronic device, if you could please turn it off before we start. And second of all, if you plan on speaking on behalf of a petition, before addressing the board, if you could sign in with your name and address. And our first matter before us is under continuances, ZB 2015-38, petitions of variance. The applicant is Clement Skarupka of 167 School Street, and the proposal consists of the conversion of a two-family dwelling to a three-family dwelling on the subject property without a number of dimensional requirements. The proposed project is located in the traditional multifamily zoning district and requires variance approval from the zoning board. Under section 5.1 of the Lowell zoning ordinance, we received a communication from the petitioner dated January 4th, and he has notified the board that he would like to withdraw his application. And with that, could I have a motion, please?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2015-038 to accept the withdrawal for a variance.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey,
Approve the withdrawal.
Member McCarthy,
Approve the withdrawal.
Member Peck,
Approve withdrawal.
Member Paglia,
Approve withdrawal.
Member Perrin,
Approve withdrawal.
and Member Callahan.
Approve withdrawal.
Okay, our next matter before us is under new business, ZB 2016-1, petitions of variance. The applicant is Victor Kenobi, property located at 73 to 79 Vining Street. Petition, the proposal is to construct a new three-family residential building without meeting lot side yard setbacks, lot area per dwelling unit, and open space per unit requirements. The proposed project is located in the traditional multifamily zoning district and requires variance approval from the zoning board under section 5.1 of the Lowell zoning ordinance. And this petitioner went before the planning board, and with that, he has a continuance with the planning board on the 1st, so we will continue this to February 8th. Could I have a motion, please?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2016-01 for a variance to be continued to February 8th.
Could I have a second?
Second the motion.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey,
Continue to February 8th.
Member Callahan,
Continue to February 8th.
Member McCarthy,
Continue to February 8th.
Member Paglia,
Continue to February 8th.
Member Peck,
Continue to February 8th.
Member Perrin.
Continue to February 8th.
Okay, next matter before us is ZB 2016-2. It's petitions of variance. The applicant is Mullane Construction, LLC. Property is located at 382 Buttman Road, and the proposal consists of the construction of a single-family home in the suburban single-family zoning district. The proposed project requires a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals under section 5.1 of the zoning ordinance. Is the representative from petitioner? Yes, sir. Yep. No, you gotta come to the podium. Address us from the podium. Yep. So if you can tell us who you are and why you're here.
Hi, my name is Steve Mullane from Mullane Construction. I'm here for a variance to build a single-family home at 382 Button Road. I was originally issued a building permit, and then after approximately 2 weeks, I was told by the planning department, actually the building department told me that it was getting voided because it wasn't, in their opinion, it wasn't a grandfathered lot, which the planning department thought it was in the first place, I guess. So it meets the side setbacks, the rear setbacks, the front setbacks. It doesn't meet the frontage or the lot size requirement.
Okay. So as far as history of the lot, so you purchased the lot from who?
The Bouviers.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So, what type of home are you asking to construct there?
It's a single family. It's a narrow lot, so it's 30 foot wide by 30 foot deep. I have a copy of the plan. I submitted it. I don't know if you
Yeah,
want it.
no, we have it,
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
30 by 30, single family house.
okay. And the type of home you're putting in there, could you tell me how you decided on that type of home?
Just because there's not a lot of them that are those dimensions, that it's kind of narrow. So there was one in Wilmington I saw that was this size, so that's what I went with.
And the number of parking spots you're providing?
I guess they have a limit on the driveway. It can be 20 feet wide for a double driveway, so there'd be 4 parking spots.
4 parking?
Yep.
Okay. And those are located, when you're looking at the building, are they on?
Right in front of the house. Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
And landscape, did you do anything on a landscape plan?
I submitted a plan. It's pretty basic. It's just basically hydro seeding, 5 or 6 shrubs in front of the house, and the rest of the lot will be seeded.
All right. 'Cause I don't think there's any trees, or is there anything you're removing as far as,
No, there's some scrub in the backyard there, but that's about it. Yeah.
okay. Anything else you want to add at this point?
No, not really. I mean, I started, the footing is in. I was getting ready to pour the foundation when they told me that it was getting revoked.
Yep.
So that's pretty much the way the lot sits right now.
Okay, if you have nothing else, then I'm going to open it up to the public.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyone here that'd like to speak in favor of this petition? In favor? In favor? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Mike Bouvier, I live at 376 Putman Ave. I'm in favor of this project. I think it's going to bring stability to the neighborhood and also improve the values of the houses. So I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else in favor? In favor? Favor? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone here that'd like to speak in opposition? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Melinda Hilliard, owner of 388 Buttman Road, abutting this property.
So you're right to the right of the property,
Exactly.
correct? Okay,
On the plans, on the survey plans, you'll see that there is an easement on the property.
correct, yeah,
That's my property. There is a fence line,
Yep.
and that is on the easement. The previous owners had put that easement into place, and it states that the owner of 388, whether it be them or the next owners, are to maintain that fence and all of the property on the side of the fence that would be on my land. And so I'm against this, as it is extremely close to my property and close to, I'm losing a lot of privacy on that side of the house, and therefore I'm against it.
So the fence that's currently there, who put that fence up?
The previous owners.
Yep.
So it's technically mine.
And I'm pretty sure we were given some documentation that talked about the easement. Maybe you have the same thing there. And I know when I took a look at it, yeah, in fact, this was the document for the easement, a 2-page document, and I also believe there was a drawing that the petitioner submitted also speaking to. And I noticed now the wood fence, is that pretty much in a straight line?
It is in a
Okay.
straight line, yes.
Yeah, and so it talks to the easement. Now, we'll probably get into this a little bit more, but, so your major opposition, is it the proposed new dwelling?
So
is too close to
It's-
what?
It's too close to my property. So, given these plans that you have right in front of you, I know that the law, the zoning law is that the foundation's to be 15 feet from one property to the next, from the foundation to the next property. And according to this, it does say that it's 15.5. However, with the easement, that reduces that. So when I purchased the house, I had this open lot next to me, this fence, I had 10 feet of easement space, and now that is being reduced to about 5 feet beyond the fence line from where the foundation would be, according to this drawing.
So what you're saying is that the building, the new building that's going up is encroaching more towards you because you thought you had more area there because of the easement?
Well, if you think of when you purchase a property and you have the easement, and I say, okay, well, this fence line is what I consider my property, it's my responsibility at the moment. And then to look right beyond that, only 5 feet beyond the fence is where that foundation is. So that's really close, in my opinion. And the side of my house goes right up against the driveway, which is a 2-car driveway, which is right up to the easement. And so if you can just imagine how tight that would be, so that's
Okay.
what my concern is.
What year did you purchase your home in?
2013.
2013? Okay. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Terry Palmer. Excuse my voice. I live at 428 Buttman Road. I live on that street.
Yep.
I was just going over some of the qualifications for the right to build a home in this area. And I was told several years ago that it was 10,000 square feet.
Yep.
I had come to a meeting, and the Strobels owned the land that was right next to my house. We fought them on their variance, and this board or somebody, whether it was other people or not, told them they could not build the house, which made it very difficult for them. Eventually, they sold us the land. My point is that if they couldn't do it, I can't see how somebody could do it right now. Not only that, it's going to be an eyesore in the neighborhood. There's not enough parking. Plus, I have one of the residential lots for common ownership, and it says there's a 5-year period that begins from when the zoning is changed, not from when the plan is recorded. And that zoning was changed in 1976. And when I went through this before, we were told that there was no grandfathering. And once the land was owned by the same person, it became common ownership, which is lots that are separately held at the time of zoning merge when they came into common ownership after the zoning change. So I don't know that this came into effect after the zoning change. I think that property went along with that house for a long time, and I stand by my neighbor saying that it's going to be pretty difficult when she gets up in the morning and looks out her window and her neighbor's able to shake her hand. I don't think that's what we have intended for the city of Lowell. I don't think that's what we have intended for the Belvedere area. And also, regardless of what the builder says, I believe that parking is going to be an issue. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question before you?
Yes.
So you said you're at 428,
That's correct.
and so on the Lowell GIS system, what did you say about the land that was next door to you?
The land that was next door to me is a 5,000 square foot
Yeah.
lot, owned by the Strobels, who was a relative of the Enrights,
Yeah.
which the Enright house is there. When they built these houses, they split the lots off and gave it to different family members to build their house. They hung on to this lot since 1964.
Yep.
The zoning changed, I believe, in 1976 to 10,000 square feet. They tried to build a house and sell that to a builder several years ago and build a house on the lot. And the neighbors, of course, were notified, as was done here. We went and spoke against it. found out that there was no grandfathering Belvedere. You needed 10,000 square feet, or you could not, build a house on the property. Not only that, our contention was the house was going to be in there sideways, and when their front door would be facing our bedroom in our house, so it would have been a very uncomfortable situation, as she will have if this is allowed.
Well, the reason why I'm asking, the document we received between 428 and 438, it shows a lot. Maybe Judy, I'll ask you the question. I was just curious, but there's no number assigned to that lot, so,
It's 428,
well, I,
432, I'm sorry, 432.
yeah, okay. So it's not designated on this report, but that's all right. 432, yeah. Okay, that's all I have, sir. Thank you. Anyone else that'd like to speak in opposition? Yep, whoever.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
My name's Sarah Serpina. I live at 404. And I would just like to say that we do live in a very condensed end of Buttman Road. So I believe having that extra house would really not be a good thing to our neighborhood. And I agree with our residents at 388 that it is very, very close to their property. I would be upset if that were to happen to me. And I'm concerned about parking as well. There's a lot of people that do park on the street currently. It's a very high traffic neighborhood on top of that. And I'm just, generally concerned about it being overpopulated and just overly condensed.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Jeffroy McLaughlin, and I live at 395. I've lived there and owned that property since 1993. And as others have said, the street really is not even a two-lane street. It's so narrow, and people, even though he's presenting to park 4 cars, if you have company or the weather's bad, and I really am against having that property put up.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm Robin Coster. I live at 387 Buttman Road, and I agree with the consensus that it is a very congested area. We have a 20-foot wide road. I do not think it's going to be an asset to build that home, and I do believe it's very tight. So I agree with most of what everyone else is saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else like to speak in opposition?
My name's Brian Novak. I'm representing my parents that live at 58 Wedgemere. When I'm asking the board if they do vote in favor for the applicant, that they have a couple of conditions involved.
Okay, go ahead.
My parents are downhill of the property, and a hill being a hill, and nothing's ever going to change the amount of rainwater that comes down it, and they realize that.
Yeah. Which, so just so I know, which...
They're at 58.
58?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
yep. Thank you.
58, 62, and 66 all have existing sump pumps in their cellars.
Okay,
My parents is actually, they have a hole cut into the cellar floor, and it's a 6-inch line that runs right out to the city storm system. That was put in 1970, right before they bought the property, right before they bought the house.
yep,
So, spring, summer, fall, the water's fine, ground grabs it, grass slows it down, it's never an issue coming down the driveway towards the walkway, that thing. As soon as the frost gets in the ground, travels down the hill, across 62, right to my parents' walkway. My dad's 81, my mother's 74. I'm down there once a week, banging out the ice, trying to get rid of it. Last year was brutal. So, what I'd like you to consider is a couple of things. One, before he starts, once the concrete forms are up, the concrete's poured, get all the spoils off of the property. From what I can see, nothing was removed at all. Everything is up against the back property line with the exception of a small amount of loam, excuse me, that's in the front yard. Second thing is, have all the permitted drains dump into a 1,000-gallon dry well, put it on the side of the yard near the property line with Mr. Bouvier, and then do a retention swale that should handle any overflow. Reason why I'm saying 1,000 gallons, 30 by 30 roof, 1 inch of rainfall like what we had yesterday, it's 561 gallons. 2-inch or inch and a half rainfall, you got 842. Right now, granted, he's working on a small site, but it's kind of a disaster. There's no hay bales, there's no silt fence, there's no erosion controls, there's nothing at all in place. I'm just a little concerned that it's going to be a throw it up, run like hell, and my parents and myself are left to deal with what we're left to deal with. So, the folks that live right behind my parents, that excavation is about 18 inches away from her fence. Granted, the foundation will be a couple of feet away from that, but it's amazing the fence is still standing, so.
All right, sir, thank you. Okay, anyone else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Hi, I live at 64 Wedgemere Drive.
Okay.
I am concerned about the water too. My property is right behind 376. Now, I know that's not totally in question, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if we get any water spill off. We do have a sump pump. And that space does seem quite narrow for a house, definitely next to 376.
How many years you been at your house, sir?
We purchased it in May of 2013.
2013. And how long have your parents been in your home?
Since
70.
70. The original owner.
Okay, yep. Okay. Anyone else like to speak in opposition? 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 Okay, hearing none, that portion of public hearing is closed. So at this stage, do you have any comments, sir, you want to make in regards to any of the previous comments that were made by people in opposition?
I guess you guys have been down to the road, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it, so, I mean, I don't know, well, you have that same plan there. There's like 15 houses around this area that are 5,000 or 6,000 square feet, the same as this lot, if not smaller. And a lot of the houses are pretty close. I haven't measured them, but there's a lot of houses that are pretty close. As far as the water issue, did your parents get any more water yesterday with an inch of rain? More than they got before? Anything was done there? Oh, I know, but if I hadn't touched that lot, I don't think there was any difference. Probably less water yesterday.
Now you've got a hard surface, you've got a 30 by 30 hard surface. The water's gonna come off of it, so if you don't gutter it and control the flow of the water, it's gonna fly down the hill, it's gonna create erosion issues.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. And the reason because I was stopped from doing anything.
Yeah.
So,
But you could have tossed some hay bales.
for erosion in the backyard?
Yeah.
Is that, I don't know if that's your parents' house, there's a wall there that,
That's my next one.
oh, okay, yeah. Okay, and so what are you, to the left of that? Yeah. There's only 50 feet of mine that I own there.
I understand.
Okay.
But you see where their property drains to,
I really don't know.
right to the gable end of my parents'
Yeah.
house.
I mean, I have no problem with stuff like that, gutters or whatever, so, but I'm just saying the neighborhood is close and whatever. And,
Okay.
yeah,
I
any
just
other
want to give you the
questions?
opportunity
Yeah.
if there was
Yeah.
anything you want to speak to. All right. Okay, so at this point, we're going to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Three, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple questions for the applicant, because I didn't quite
If you
see.
want to come back up, please.
We received some plans from you in the application, and one of the criteria is a site plan that shows contours or grades, and this is a lot that definitely is not flat.
Nope, you're right.
But I don't see anything in the application that shows a graded site plan. I was wondering what happened, why don't we have that to review?
Well, I got the memo from the planning department about things you may want or whatever, so I figured, I didn't know exactly what you wanted.
So are you familiar with the zoning bylaws in the city that outline what's required for variance?
Just what was on the application there, yes.
Well, we actually have a document, the zoning bylaws, zoning ordinance, that actually outlines the material required for the submission.
Okay.
So you haven't reviewed that?
No, I guess I haven't, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if, as far as grades go, it would be proposed grades, because the foundation isn't poured yet.
Well, the reason I'm asking is if you're intending to raise the grades of the lot to match the elevations that you provided, that would indicate a retaining wall at the rear of the lot that could possibly be resolving a lot of the drainage issues. But I don't see a retaining wall either on your plot plan. I see a floor plan and elevations that show a level lot. They don't show a graded lot. And so if your intention is to establish...
On the house plan you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
So are those plans accurate for what you're building?
The house plans?
Yes.
The house plans are, yes.
So they show a contour around the foundation that's consistent with maybe a 2 or 3 foot grade change between finished floor and the grade. So that would indicate that you're leveling the lot. Is that true?
No, the lot, have you been out there?
Yes,
The lot kind of slopes from the front to the back.
sure does.
So my plan was, when I poured the foundation walls, to pour a full foot wall in the front. And then the side walls are both dropped, and the back wall is dropped.
So
So the finished grade on the back of the house, which is 40 feet off the back of the lot, will be like a foot higher than the original grade has been for 40 years or whatever.
Are you familiar with the documents you submitted, the elevations? Okay.
Yeah.
They don't indicate that.
No,
as
they
far-
don't, you're right, yeah.
Okay, so if you're going to be modifying the plans, I think it's important for you to have submitted the documents that you intend to build, so that we can study those and render a opinion based on what you're intending to build.
So
Really see that.
it would be a proposed, though. It couldn't be like a final as-built with the grades. It'll be a proposed grade.
I understand that.
Okay, all right, yeah. No, I don't have that, you're right, yes.
So 2 things are missing from the application, in my
Yep.
view, and that's a graded site plan that indicates how you intend to resolve the existing contours and build on that lot, so that you have a structure that works, and then floor plans and elevations that match that graded site plan. So you're indicating the step in the rear and whatever you're doing.
Okay, yep,
Okay.
yep.
I guess I want to understand, you're familiar with the SSF zone for the area, for the neighborhood,
Yes,
that requires a 10,000 square foot lot size.
yes.
And you're proposing that you should be able to build on a 5,500 square foot lot? Is that correct?
Well, I went to the planning department 2 or 3 times before I bought the property and asked them if this was a building lot. They said yes.
Regardless of what I...
No, I was issued a building permit.
I understand.
Okay.
Mistakes do happen. It's unfortunate. But if you don't meet zoning, there's an issue, obviously. That's why you're here, for variance.
That's correct.
And I think one of the first things you would do, in my opinion, I'm assuming you're a builder that's built more than once? Is this your first?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
you would check zoning to see what the neighborhood zone is, and then you'd see what the size lot is required to support a single-family house.
I did do that.
Okay, so you understood that you were asking for, to build a single-story structure on a non-conforming lot.
Yes, but I was under the impression through the planning department that it was a grandfathered lot.
Okay, and you're familiar with the Mass General laws that indicate, okay, so you're
I am
familiar.
now.
Previously, you were not, okay.
No.
Okay, so clearly we're maybe misleading you in thinking that you can build and even issuing a foundation permit or a building permit?
They issued me a foundation permit.
Foundation permit, so you don't have a building permit yet?
Well, you can't get a building permit until you get the as-built for the foundation permit.
Yep, okay.
So they issue the foundation permit first, and then once you show them an as-built stating that you've met all the requirements, they issue the building permit.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a 10,000 square foot requirement. You have 5,500 square feet. There's a number of lots in the neighborhood that are over 10,000. There's lots across the street from you and recently built homes that are over 10,000 square feet. Right, okay. So it's clear that the city is looking to enforce the 10,000 square foot requirement in the neighborhood. I understand.
Agree, but that's why I went into the planning department and asked them if it was a buildable lot, and they said yes. And then they issued me the foundation permit, and then 2 weeks later, they revoked it.
Okay. I get your drift there. You're looking for relief on 10,000 square feet. You're also looking for relief on frontage.
That's correct.
So the frontage requirement is 90 feet, and you're looking to reduce that to 50 feet.
Yes.
And then we also have the point of the easement. So there's a easement that currently is partially paved with the neighbor's driveway, and then there's a fence.
That's correct.
So we have a reduced lot width from 90 to 50, and that reduction is also compromised by the existing easement that reduces that width even further in the side yard, and also has an existing driveway in the easement to complicate matters. So we're already going from 50 to something less because of the easement that supports a neighbor's driveway and the fence.
That's correct.
Wow, that's a lot.
I wish the planning department just told me that when I asked them if it was a buildable lot in the first place, and I would have never bought the lot.
I understand the mistake was made, but what's your argument to receive a variance? What hardship are you declaring? I just don't understand how you're meeting the criteria for a variance, because it certainly is not supporting the zoning. I don't see how this would be not detriment to the existing zoning, because the existing zoning does have criteria that asks for
Well,
a
you
larger
said there was
dimension.
lots across the street with 10,000 square feet, and there's 10 or 15 lots within 500 feet on both sides of this that are 5,000 square feet, 5 or 6,000 square feet.
Oh, I understand that there were a lot of structures built prior to the zoning change, but anything built after, I think, 76 maybe is when the zoning changed, have all conformed, as far as I'm aware, to the larger lot size.
That's why I'm looking for a variance.
No, I'm trying to understand how you're qualifying, because how are you meeting the criteria for us to grant a variance? I don't see a hardship. I don't see the topography of the lot requiring the reduction in lot size. And I do see a problem with the existing zoning if we were to grant the variance, that it would be, obviously by the neighbors here, that they would feel that we are not aligned with the existing zoning by granting the variance. So I'm not sure how you're meeting the.
You'd think it's a detriment to the neighborhood to put up a new house then?
I think that the neighborhood has been zoned for 10,000 square foot lots for new construction. And I don't know how building, the reduction it's a significant, it's almost 50%. And it is really 50% if you take into consideration how much is already in the easement with the neighbor's driveway and fence. So you're actually, that's a significant drop.
Well,
And
that's why I'm here, so I don't know what you want me to say.
I was just hoping you were going to have a defense or something, or
Well,
strategy as to how we would feel
I guess
comfortable
my
with
biggest
variance.
defense is I tried to follow the rules, and I went down to the planning department and asked them for a building, if that lot was buildable, and they said yes.
I'm
I guess
hearing-
that's my only defense.
I hear you loud and clear.
Well, I don't know what else.
But we're obligated to follow the Mass General laws as well. And if you're not in conformance with Mass General laws and you're
I'm not in
meeting the
conform,
criteria for variance.
that's why I'm going for a variance.
I
And I don't think it's detrimental to the neighborhood to build a new house there.
It's not the neighborhood, it's the intent of the zoning, which is the 10,000 square foot lots. And you're actually asking for a reduction of almost 50%. And so that's a strong.
That's part of the variance route, right?
You're asking for a reduction of almost 50% of what's required for a buildable lot in that neighborhood, which is a significant reduction, in my opinion.
It is, I agree. And there's 20 other houses on that street or within that area that.
You can point to the houses also that are across the street that are conforming.
I agree. Yeah.
Correct. I understand. I have a couple questions for Judy, if you don't mind. So, Judy, there was advice given by the planning department to see this lot as a buildable lot and to go down the road of seeking a permit.
Yes.
And that's based on what kind of criteria would the planning department have used?
Well, the lots had been held in common ownership, but they had not merged. And the issue of lots merging and being held in common ownership were unfortunately confused.
Okay.
The statute does not have anything to do with merging. The statute does say if they were held in common ownership, it is not grandfathered. So the interpretation by the department was incorrect because it was looked at that the lots had not merged when in essence that has nothing to do with it. It's the common ownership. And there were 2 lots in common ownership before the zoning changed. And the zoning changed September 1966 to 10,000 square feet for the S1 district and 75 feet of frontage.
50 years ago, roughly, almost 49 and a half years ago. Wow. And then based on that information, the building department issued a foundation permit.
Well, based on the first interpretation that there had not been a merger, yes. Yes, the building department, based on advice from the zoning department, from the planning department, did issue the foundation permit, yes.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Gary?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Can you clarify the height of the structure?
Yeah, I think it was 33 feet.
And the intent is, if I look at it, is that 3rd floor working attic?
Excuse me?
Is it a 3rd floor as a working attic?
An unfinished attic, yes.
An unfinished attic?
Yep.
Will you address the concerns and the comments from the city as it relates to the exposed foundation and what your plan is there?
Yeah, in the front of the house, there'll be approximately 2 to 2.5 feet of concrete showing. And on both sides, I was planning on dropping the foundation in closer to the ground level. So there'll be a foot or 2 there as well on the sides. And on the back wall of the foundation, I was planning on doing a walkout with a door. So there'd be probably 18 to 24 inches of concrete showing there as well.
So in the comments from the city, they referenced the bulkhead, was that?
Yeah, there's no bulkhead, it's gonna be a walkout door.
So that was just discussion you may have had, and then when plans
Yes.
change, you moved in a
Yep.
different direction? Okay. At this time, Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions, but reserve the right after my fellow board members speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mulaney, my one question I do have, though, is, did you happen to meet with any of the neighbors prior to hearing today, or prior to filing the petition?
Did I what?
Did you happen to meet with them, get together and meet with any of the neighbors prior to filing the petition, or even
No,
coming?
only Mr. Bouvet next door.
Okay, but none of the other, none of the other neighbors who were who were here
No.
before to speak?
I was out there for probably a week or two, staking the lot, digging the lot, excavating the lot, pouring the foundation. Nobody came over to me, so I did not go to any of them before that.
Okay. I will say, I share many of the same sentiments of many of the questions that Dennis had brought up about the zoning. And yes, I understand that many of the houses on the street are 5,000 square lots, but those appear to be prior, according to the plans from 1966, those appear to be prior to the entry of the zoning regulations. And I have a major concern about the fact that the property, and sharing the sentiments of the neighbor with regards to the easement. Because looking at the plan that you put down, first of all, as Dennis pointed out, it's not a graded plan, so I have no idea of how the topography would work out. But also, it appears that the foundation, the proposed foundation, does literally go up right to the fence, and that's or maybe I'm not reading it correctly, because you have the easements scheduled out, but then there's another line, wooden fence that's going
That's
diagonally.
her fence, yes.
So, taking that into effect, I mean, well, as far as you know, I mean, looking at the back end of that, where the end of the back of the proposed foundation is, as far as the shortest distance between that and the fence, how far do you think that?
About 4 feet.
4 feet? Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Again, I kind of, taking into account all the comments from the neighbors, and understanding your concerns and all that, but you got a really tight fit here, and it just doesn't, in my opinion, just doesn't seem to be fitting in with what the intent of the zoning regulations are. But I'm certainly willing to listen to the rest of the remainder of the board members as to their concerns. But I just got to say I share the same sentiments of Mr. McCarthy, and many of the questions he has that just remain unanswered. Maybe additional going back to the drawing board might work out, but I don't know. It's again, I'll reserve my rights and listen to the remainder of the board members. But that's my opinion. So, okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A lot of the questions I had have either been brought up or been answered, but a couple of things, or one thing that I wanted to ask Judy is this issue about the permit being issued, and I don't know if this is the proper forum to discuss it, but what recourse does the applicant have to the fact that he was issued a foundation permit and then 2 weeks later it was revoked?
Essentially, this is the recourse that the applicant has, that the applicant does have to file for the variances that he's filed for.
Thank you. So I think my two major, one major concern has already been discussed, and that's the fact that we're really talking about a lot that's even less than 5,500 feet if we take in the easement, and that's the question that Dennis had raised. And I don't know if the applicant is thinking about continuing or reapplying, but I also think now that we know that the height of the proposed structure is 33 feet. I mean, if it was a 5,500-foot lot and it was a home that wasn't quite as tall as the one proposed, at least I personally would consider it. I mean, that's the point, again, of a variance, is that someone is asking for an exception to be made to the zoning. So even though however many years ago the variance was denied on a different lot, that doesn't really have anything to do with this application. But I think again, with the easement in question, it really makes the lot even smaller. And, you know, it's essentially a 2.5-story or about a 2.5-story house versus either a 1-story ranch or a shorter 2-story. So those are a couple of issues that I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think this particular petition, he's asking for a lot of relief in his variance. And, you know, I understand that he bought the property and initially he was misinformed. You know, there's been some talks about you going back to the drawing board or reapplying for maybe a different project altogether. So, you know, as it sits right now, I think, you know, relief to be granted on this specific project would be, for me, hard to approve. So, those are all the comments I have. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think if you're listening to the comments from the board, there seems to be a lot of concerns with the plans as submitted. I know Dennis talked about a couple of things, but the issue with the drainage that was brought up, I'm not sure if you answered the question or not, but what is your plan for containment of the runoff, the soil? What is your drainage plan? Since we didn't see, I don't think you submitted anything on that.
No, I
either,
didn't,
correct?
because to be honest with you, it costs money to do all that, and I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to do anything here. So, I can certainly get a plan drawn up, and I don't know if it's gonna matter to you or the abutters, but I could go with a less wide house there if that would be helpful. As far as drainage goes, I mean, I guess I'd have to get an engineer to tell me what needs to be done. I think once the lot is graded, the contours of the lot are not gonna be a hell of a lot different than what's been sitting there for 30 years, especially the back 40 feet in the backyard. It's not gonna change that much. The only additional water would be the roof water. So, I'm not an engineer. He mentioned calculations. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about or not, but, I mean, I would certainly go along with having an engineer draw up how to contain that if it means being a tank, put in the ground and having the water go into that. At this stage of the game, I would not be adverse to doing that.
Well, I can speak for myself. When I went out to the property, I obviously went up and down Buttman, but I made the attempt to loop around where this gentleman's parents live and this gentleman lives, because I wanted to get a view of what it looked like and what the elevations were. And so I made that observation. So as you were presenting, and then I heard some comments from the people in the neighborhood, I never really heard anything about what the plan was to take care of any runoff. And in looking at and listening to some of the questions that came from the board members, you know, we don't seem to have enough information to start with here. I know you submitted a lot of documentation, but there seems to be some key elements because of where the property is located and some of the conditions you're going to have to deal with. I also go back to, I think one of my original questions was, how did you determine the type of home you wanted to build? And now you just made a comment about, you know, maybe I can change or something
Well,
like
I
that.
could. I mean, I didn't want to put up a 1,000-square-foot house. I wanted to put up something bigger if I could. If I can't and something smaller would work, I would do it at this stage of the game.
But I think it's also an indication of, as you've heard tonight, it's an undersized lot. In fact, it's not less than or great. Let me finish.
Okay.
You know, 50%.
Yep.
of what you require, but there seems to be a lot of challenges just with the lot. This board, we cannot, unfortunately, I know it was explained to us, the chain of events that you took with the city. This board can't sit here and say, well, you know, I'm sorry to hear about that, but we can't entertain that. That's not for this board to entertain. You know, you're here for a variance based on, obviously you know now you need 10,000 square feet. You know what the rundown is.
Well,
So I don't want to get into a big dialogue about, you know, the 10,000. I think you pretty much heard it loud and clear. I have a lot of reservations. I mean, the neighbors that spoke this evening obviously have a lot of concerns. The traffic, I know there's a lot of traffic on the street, but the number of times I can honestly say, going up and down Buttman, I've never seen a lot of cars parked on the street. That's just my own observation. I'm not, I mean, obviously everybody seems to have driveways and they're able to park their own cars. I'm sure people have people over, but I think there's a lot of challenges to this lot, and based on what's been presented this evening and what's missing, I mean, I'm inclined to continue it if you want to come back with some of the missing parts that we've asked for and maybe re-review this, but I think I also would entertain, if you want to give it some thought, of totally withdrawing and then maybe coming back with something else different.
something else different as far as house?
Well, I think, you know, we talked about the grade site plan, we talked the floor elevations that match, we talked the drainage plan, we talked about the type of structure you want to put in there. I think there's been some feedback, and the biggest area of concern is it's an undersized lot. That's what this board has to base this decision on. So I think there's a lot of challenges right now. I'd be open to letting you continue this, coming back with some of these requirements that we're missing. I'd also give you the opportunity, if you wanted to, you know, not go forward, you want to withdraw, maybe go back to the drawing board and decide on maybe coming back some other day. But I guess, you know, in fairness to you, I'll give you the opportunity to make that assessment, what you would like to do going forward.
What's the difference between continuing and withdrawing?
Well, continuance would be, you would come back before this board with, in this case, you know, we've asked for certain types of plans to submit.
Right.
We would need those plans before you come before us. There'll be another
Yep.
public hearing, and we'll go through those plans.
Yeah.
Or what you can do is withdraw, and Judy can correct me on this. You could withdraw your petition, and if he withdraws, he can withdraw with no prejudice against him, and he can come back with a brand-new petition, new set of plans, whatever you want to do, take a fresh look, and come back a second time, and not take the opportunity of having a continuance and then getting it voted on, and if you're denied, then there's a two-year window, right? There's nothing to do for 2 years. So if you need a few minutes to walk in another room and think about it,
Okay.
I'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so we'll have just a brief suspension of the meeting so this gentleman can go off and think about it. Yes, sir. Yep.
I'm going to withdraw at this time.
Okay.
That the wording?
Okay. Yep. So Judy, if this gentleman would like to withdraw, is there anything that he needs to know documentation-wise, or we're just going to take the vote for the withdrawal and then?
Yes, so you would withdraw without prejudice,
Yep.
and that would allow him to apply
Correct.
again for
And
that parcel.
after we take the vote, I only throw this out to you. I mean, I would reach out if you decide to go forward again at some period, that you might want to engage the department again before you go off and come back. I'm just putting it out there.
Engage
The DPD, that you might want to, if you come back to reapply again, you
Yep.
might want to have a nice, long conversation about really what your plans are. So
I got you. Yeah, no, I know.
just a suggestion. I'm not saying you
Yep.
have to. Okay,
That's fine. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Okay, could I have a motion, please?
Three, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for ZB 2016-02 for variance to withdraw, to accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Could I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Chairman Bailey,
Withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Callahan,
Withdrawn without prejudice.
Member McCarthy,
Accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Member Paglia,
Withdrawn without prejudice.
Member Peck,
Withdrawal without prejudice.
and Member Perrin.
Acceptance of the withdrawal without prejudice.
Okay, Ms. Mullane, you've been approved for the withdrawal, so I wish you the best of luck. Yep, you're welcome. And thank you for the neighbors for showing up this evening. Okay, that'll conclude that petition. Thank you. Okay, Judy, next meeting is January 25th?
When is next meeting? Next meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, 25th.
Okay. And as far as material for the next meeting, everything to date is posted out on the site, is that correct for all the petitions?
Yes, because, of course, there's Varney, everything's been posted for Varney. School Street's been withdrawn. There is, that's not till February. I mean, there are several applications that are not until February 1st. And we're
Yep.
just starting to put those on the website.
Yep. So the agenda for our next meeting, the 25th, we'll receive that by next Monday? Is that
Yes.
the plan? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I hope that the communication that we've been doing with the start of the new year is keeping everybody informed. And if you need any additional information or any changes,
Yep.
but we are going to do that at the end of the day on Monday.
Yep. No, it seems to be working very well so far for us, so that's good. All right, any other comments from any other board members? Or okay. So can I make a motion to adjourn?
Three, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second?
Second.
So moved.